appreciate that, and delighted to join everybody here this evening. I'm kind of laughing because I really have a great deal of respect for Ramadan, for fasting. So I hate fasting. And Catholics do this kind of really light fasting. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, it's hard to call it a fast. It's more of a bother than a fast or anything like that. So today, and I want to tell you how much I've sacrificed today. I didn't eat your meat because I can't eat meat today. So, but compared to Ramadan where you go all day without eating or drinking, and then I see some of the basketball players that play here and during Ramadan can't drink and play basketball. I'm going, dude, man, I'm impressed. That's a real struggle here. So I appreciate people of faith struggling to do something bigger, which is really to shape their souls. I grew up in eastern Kansas around a number of Mennonites that don't drive cars. Some of them drive horse and buggies. And now obviously they know what a car is, because sometimes they get hit by cars. And they could, and their kids know they could leave the faith and drive a car. And it'd be much more convenient for them, but they don't. And why don't they? You kind of look at it, and for a long time as a kid, I'd look at it and I'd kind of go, why are you wearing the funny hat? Or why do you drive a horse and buggy? I mean, really? But it's about the longer view of the human condition. It's about not just the body, it's about the soul. It's about treating that soul preciously and more precious than the body. I have a friend of mine that describes the human existence as that we're a spirit walking around in an earth suit. So, like instead of being in a space suit, I'm in an earth suit and I'm walking around, but I'm actually really a spirit. But obviously we're both. But so much of modern society doesn't take into account the spiritual side of things. We just take into account the physical side of things, and we look at how you look. I challenge people. I have a routine in the morning where I really try to spend quite a bit of time cleaning my soul up. And some people would ask me that, well, why do you do that? And I say, well, do you go out in the morning without showering? You go, no. Well, do you wash your hair? Yes. Well, why? Well, I don't want to look bad. Well, if you spend that much time cleaning your flesh up, should you spend as much time cleaning your spirit up before you go out and interact with people? And it's kind of, well, yeah, but but that's kind of the Western answer. Yeah, but sort of the way we look at things so often. So I really appreciate the sacrifice that people make to observe Ramadan. I appreciate the sacrifice people make to observe their faith. Because it's that effort to really improve the soul, the long-term, the eternal part of what each of us are about. And it should be a great unifying thing for us. Unfortunately, it's not been often. It's been one of those things that enterprising politicians like myself have used to divide us. And we often do that, and it's a very useful division tool, is to divide people along faith lines. It's pretty effective, pretty simple. It's pretty, and usually you can divide people the easiest to understand their faith the least. It's when you understand your faith the least that you're most manipulative, most able to be manipulated. When you understand your faith the most, it's kind of like, wait, no. That's not what we're about. And you back up, but most people don't understand their faith well. Most people say, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. Okay, well, what does that mean to you? Muhammad's pretty cool, and I don't mean to be offensive, or most people have a very narrow understanding what their faith is about, and it leads to ability to manipulate people, particularly by enterprising politicians. We've got to get people past that. We've got to get people, and that's what the whole religious freedom movement really is about, is to say, this is a beautiful thing that people sacrifice when they sacrifice their time, their body to improve their soul. This is a beautiful thing. We should honor it. We should honor it between faiths. We should have not just, and we've had too low of a standard of each other regarding faith. Our standard has been to tolerate somebody of another faith. Okay, it's okay, Muslims are here in the United States. We're going to tolerate you. Because, all right, we got freedom of religion, and that applies to everybody, and applies to Muslims too, but it is a Christian country, guys, okay? I mean, I'm reflecting to you of how people kind of naturally will feel about things. Instead of looking at it, saying, I'm amazed at what you do and your seriousness about it, and it should help me grow. Religions that last and that attract people are built on a natural law. They're built on truths that are observable by individuals over time. And if they're not, generally the religion won't last or it won't attract people to it. Not built on really the sort of human condition that people can observe and be a part of. And yet, in the Catholic viewpoint, you ought to study other religions for what natural law they discovered that we didn't find. And what can we learn from that? Because there's probably something very interesting here that we ought to know about. I'm from Kansas. Kansas was supposed to be Oklahoma in the original building of the United States. By that I mean they moved. And this is a horrible thing, that when we had the Forced Indian Removal Act and moved the Native Americans out of the East, and it killed thousands of people. They were initially all moved to Kansas and then to Oklahoma. And the reason I mention this is that I know a number of Native Americans. I've carried the Native American our bill to apologize to Native Americans. I've worked on reconciliation with Native Americans a lot. And out of that process, I've gotten to know their faith views and traditions and natural law discoveries that they made about how all of the world is interconnected. And you know, I'd go as a good German descendant saying, well, maybe it's interconnected, but I'm just dealing with this part of it, and that's all I'm going to work on. But then the more you get that isolated, the more you see what I did impacts what everybody, and the same way with everybody in the world. And I learn from their natural law observations that they have. And I think we've got to keep building this level of trust and understanding and respect, and ultimately we're shooting for love of each other regardless of faith. And your faith may not be mine, and mine may not be yours, but I respect you and I love you for what you're doing. I love Mother Teresa's line on this. She once said that I love all faiths for the search of the eternal that they are. I'm in love with my own. And I thought, okay, I can see that. I think that's what we need. The effort of the International Religious Freedom Summit is to stand up for that fundamental, what I call the freedom of freedoms of religious freedom. That you get to do with your own soul what you choose. What you have been attracted to, what you believe is right, is what you get to follow. As long as you're peaceful about it. Now you go to blow up buildings or kill people, we're going to have a problem and you're going to go to jail. But if you're peacefully pursuing it, great. This is the pursuit of an internal truth. And I'm delighted we can be here and sit and talk about these things together. I want to put one final point out there, because you're here on a Friday night in a beautiful location. With Darren, thank you very much for giving us, allowing us to use this as a lovely location. I'd hate to think how much just cost you. But, I'm a little surprised the federal government didn't get here first. Normally we got the good stuff first, and the people did stuff. But what we've got to do is start building more together, and out of that, build that respect. And we will not get true peace in the world, I don't think, until the religions are at peace with each other.
Yes. Amen.
We're going to have to get to that point. And I say that as somebody that's been a practicing politician that still is in that field. we've got to start as people of faith talking to each other in a very serious way about how do we gain that level of respect and trust for each other. And we take that to the world, that's going to be a huge gift. I've been talking about negotiating a peace treaty just between the Abrahamic faiths, getting top theologians to sit, and maybe all we can agree upon or need to agree upon is that you can't kill somebody of another faith just because they're of another faith. Maybe that's the treaty. You just can't kill them because they're of another faith. There may be just war doctrines that have other issues involved in them, but you can't kill people based upon that. And what a gift that would be to the world if top theologians of the Abrahamic faiths came together and just, we agree on this. And you could take that right now into the African continent where we're seeing huge carnage taking place and people killing, often by people that don't understand their own faith particularly well, and often driven by enterprising politicians or people seeking power in that area, and just giving carnage to places. And this is, I said I was going to give a final thought, and I misspoke. I want to say a lie on Friday. We can do these things and start engaging much more at a governmental level with theologians. That's kind of been a no-go category for U.S. government, is you don't engage with theologians because of separation of church and state, which I think is a false reading of that. And in politics, you respond in the battlefield that you're attacked in. So if you're attacked in the media, if you're attacked in the press, if you're attacked on TV, you respond in TV. If you're attacked in the newspaper, you respond there. We've been attacked theologically. A lot of times, as I say, politicians will use a theology to really get people fired up, to move them. And then we don't respond theologically. We need to get theologians out there to respond on that so that you respond in the field you're attacked in. We're getting attacked in theology, we should respond in theology. Can't do that, separation of church and state. Yes, you can. You can get theologians out there to address this, top theologians, and say, no, this is an improper understanding of Christianity. This is an improper understanding of Islam, and have it done not by government officials, but by theologians. We got in our own history here a lot of difficulty of African-American relations. And for a long time, the Ku Klux Klan claimed itself to be a Christian organization. And they carried that mantra. And you go, that's not Christianity. But they got away with it for quite a while. A lot of people wouldn't stand up to them, scared to stand up to them at the time. Too powerful, too mean. Wouldn't stand up to them. And then eventually people got enough courage up, a few did, said, no, that is not following what Jesus would teach. And today I say that line and you think, how on earth could they ever have claimed Christianity? But they did. And we let them get away with it for a long time because we were scared. We've got to address these things in the field that they're attacked in, and we can. And we can use much more diplomacy. One of the best diplomatic things that happened recently was the Abrahamic Accords, in my estimation, using the figure of Abraham that's a uniting figure of the Abrahamic faiths. We can do these things. So I'm delighted to join you this evening. I think we've got an incredibly important mission that I think we've got a good start on getting done. And we've got now enough people understanding and talk with each other in enough depth that perhaps we can get this moving on forward. And I'm hopeful that this administration is going to really work with this, with Secretary Rubio, that we start pushing these things, diplomacy, faith-wise, building up the Abrahamic coalition to understand and to work with each other. And this can be a powerful, powerful season. So I'd ask you in your fasting to pray for those, the faith, to start understanding and respecting and loving one another. God bless you all.